The note was shaking in my hands. I mean actually trembling, the paper vibrating like it had a heartbeat of its own. My lawyer Evelyn's fingers had been ice cold when they brushed against mine as she slid it across the polished mahogany table. I looked down, trying to keep my face blank, trying not to let anyone see what I was reading. 4 words in all caps. Don't sign anything. Leave. My throat went dry. The conference room suddenly felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. I could hear my stepmother Celestine breathing across from me, this satisfied little exhale through her nose like she'd already won something. Her fingers, heavy with rings my father bought her, were drumming on the table. The sound made my skin crawl. I'm Marlo Chen, 34 years old, and up until 3 days ago I thought I knew what grief felt like. I thought burying my father was going to be the hardest thing I'd ever do. Sitting in that room, watching the estate attorney Mr. Thornwick shuffle papers with this oily smile on his face, I realized I'd been wrong. This was worse. This was something else entirely. Miss Chen, if you'll just sign here, Thornwick said, sliding a stack of documents toward me. His voice was smooth, practiced. Just a formality to finalize the estate transfer. I looked at Evelyn. She was staring at me with these desperate eyes, and I swear I saw her shake her head. Just barely. Just enough. Behind me, Celestine's son Dashiell shifted in his chair. I heard the leather creak. Felt him lean forward. My father had been dead for 72 hours, and these people were circling me like sharks around blood in the water. Marlo. Celestine's voice was honey-sweet, but there was something underneath it. Something sharp. Sweetheart, we're all waiting. Before you hear what happened next, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, because this story gets darker than you can imagine, and I want to know I'm not alone in this. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for what comes next. The papers sat in front of me. Picked up the pen. Felt its weight. Everything in that moment felt heavy, significant, wrong. The air conditioning was blasting, but I was sweating. My hand moved toward the signature line and Evelyn made this sound, almost like a gasp she was trying to swallow. That's when I really looked around the room. I mean really looked. Celestine wasn't just satisfied. She was gleeful. Her daughter Reverie was staring at her phone, completely disconnected, like she'd seen this play out before. Dashiell had moved his chair closer to the door. Why would he do that? And Thornwick kept glancing at his watch, this weird urgency in every movement. The will they just read made no sense. My father, who told me every Sunday morning over coffee that I was his greatest pride, had supposedly left me $5,000. $5,000. His watch collection was worth more than that. Everything else, the house, the business, the investments, millions of dollars. All of it went to Celestine, a woman he'd known for 3 years. I felt Evelyn's foot tap mine under the table. Once. 3 times. My father used to tap my foot like that when I was little, when we'd have dinner with people he didn't trust. It was our signal. Our secret language for be careful. Actually, I heard myself say, and my voice sounded far away. I need some air. I'm feeling dizzy. Celestine's smile vanished. Just dropped right off her face like a mask. Marlo, this will only take a moment. I said I need air. I stood up too fast. The chair scraped against hardwood. I'm sorry. My father just died. Can we do this tomorrow? Thornwick's jaw tightened. Miss Chen, there are time-sensitive matters. Tomorrow, I repeated, and I was already moving toward the door. That's when Dashiell stood up. All 6 feet 3 inches of him, blocking my path with his body. He didn't say anything. Didn't have to. The threat was written all over his face. Move, I said, but my voice cracked. Evelyn shot to her feet. Oh goodness, my water. She knocked her glass over deliberately, sent it cascading across the documents, across Thornwick's lap. He jumped up cursing, and in that chaos, that split second of distraction, I shoved past Dashiell and ran. I ran through my father's house like a stranger was chasing me. Because someone was. I heard Celestine shouting behind me, heard footsteps, Heard Dashiell yelling something I couldn't make out. My heels hit marble, then carpet, then marble again. I grabbed my purse from the entry table, fumbled with the front door, burst out into October sunshine that felt like a slap. Evelyn's car was running at the curb. She was already in the driver's seat, passenger door thrown open. "Get in," she hissed. "Now, Marlowe. Now." Dove in. She hit the locks before I even got the door closed, and we were moving, tires squealing, my father's house disappearing in the side mirror. I watched Celestine appear in the doorway. Her face twisted into something ugly and furious. She was screaming something I couldn't hear through the glass. "What the hell is happening?" Gasped. My hands were shaking so hard I couldn't fasten my seatbelt. What was that? What? Evelyn's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. She took a corner too fast, checked the rearview mirror 3 times in 10 seconds. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet and terrifying. "That wasn't your father's real will." The world tilted sideways. "What? And those documents Thornwick wanted you to sign?" She glanced at me, and I'd never seen anyone look so scared and so angry at the same time. "They weren't formalities. They were confessions. You were about to sign away your rights to everything, admit to fraud you didn't commit, and make yourself legally responsible for debts that don't even exist." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. "I don't understand. Your father knew something was wrong. He came to me 6 months ago, changed his will, hid evidence. He was trying to protect you." She ran a red light, checked the mirror again. "Marlowe, that meeting wasn't about your inheritance. It was a trap. And if you'd signed those papers..." She swallowed hard. "They were going to destroy you. Or worse." My phone started ringing. Celestine's name flashed on the screen. Then Dashiell's. Then a number I didn't recognize. Again. "Don't answer," Evelyn said. "Don't answer anything. We need to get somewhere safe. And then I need to tell you everything your father discovered before he died." Before he died. The way she said it made ice spread through my chest. "Evelyn." My voice came out as a whisper. "How did my father die?" She looked at me for one long second before turning back to the road. The silence was an answer all by itself. My phone kept ringing. Behind us, I swear I saw a black SUV make the same turn we did. And I realized with horrible, crystalline clarity that the most dangerous thing I'd ever done was walk into that meeting. The second most dangerous thing was walking out of it alive. 72 hours earlier, I'd been standing in my apartment in Portland, staring at my phone like it was a snake about to strike. Dad's name on the screen at 2 in the morning was never good news. But when I answered, it wasn't his voice I heard. It was Celestine's, and she was crying. Fake crying. I knew it even then, even through the shock. Her sobs had this performative quality, like she was auditioning for a role she'd practiced in the mirror. "Marlowe," she choked out. "Oh God, Marlowe, it's your father. He's gone. He had a heart attack. I found him in his study. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I'm so sorry." Sweetheart. She'd never called me that before. In 3 years of marriage to my dad, she'd called me Marlowe exactly twice and James's daughter every other time. The word felt wrong in her mouth, like she was tasting something bitter. I don't remember what I said. I think I made a sound, something animal and broken. My neighbor probably heard through the walls. I remember sliding down to the kitchen floor, phone pressed so hard against my ear it left a mark, and Celestine just kept talking, kept performing her grief while mine was eating me alive from the inside. My father, James Chin, 67 years old, played tennis 3 times a week. Had a physical last month that came back perfect. Heart attack. Just like that. I booked a flight for 6 a.m. Didn't sleep. Couldn't. I sat on my couch in the dark and scrolled through photos on my phone. Dad at my college graduation. His face proud enough to burst. Dad teaching me to drive when I was 15, patient even when I hit the mailbox. Dad at Mom's funeral 12 years ago, holding my hand so tight I thought my bones would break, both of us trying not to shatter completely. He called me 2 weeks before. Sunday morning like always. We talked about nothing important. The weather, my job as a grant writer for a non-profit, his golf game, whether I was eating enough vegetables. Normal stuff. Dad stuff. He'd sounded fine. Healthy. Happy even. But there'd been this moment right before we hung up. He'd gone quiet and then he'd said, "Marlo, I need you to know something. Whatever happens, whatever you hear, remember that you're the best thing I ever did with my life. You hear me? The best thing." I'd laughed it off. Told him he was being weird. Asked if he was having a midlife crisis at 67. He'd laughed too, but it sounded strained. "Just remember," he'd said. "You're my girl. Always." Sitting on that couch in the dark, I played that voicemail over and over. Listened to his voice saying, "You're my girl," until the words lost meaning, until they were just sounds, until the sun came up and I had to leave for the airport. The flight from Portland to San Francisco took 90 minutes. I spent 89 of them staring out the window, watching clouds and trying to remember how to breathe. Heart attack. Oh sudden. Oh final. No goodbye. No last conversation. Just Celestine's fake tears and a body in the morgue. When I landed, I turned my phone back on and it exploded with messages. My Aunt Linda, Dad's sister, saying she was flying in from Chicago. His business partner Martin asking when the funeral would be. Friends from college sending condolences. And Celestine texting every 20 minutes. "When will you be here? We have so much to discuss. Please hurry. Your father would want us to handle things quickly." That should have been my first warning. The urgency. Pressure. But I was drowning in grief. Couldn't see the sharks in the water. I took a cab straight to Dad's house in Pacific Heights. The house I grew up in, the house Mom decorated before she got sick, the house that should have felt like home. Celestine met me at the door in head-to-toe black, makeup perfect, not a hair out of place. She hugged me and she smelled expensive. Well, like she'd been shopping instead of mourning. Come in, she said, pulling me inside. "We have so much to do. The funeral home is waiting for decisions, and the lawyer wants to read the will tomorrow. Your father was very organized. He made everything so easy for us. Like we were a team. Like she hadn't swooped in 3 years ago and married my widowed father within 6 months of meeting him at some charity gala. Like I hadn't watched her slowly isolate him from his friends, redecorate Mom's house, insert her adult children into every family event until it stopped feeling like family at all. Can I see his study?" Yes. My voice sounded hollow. Something flickered across Celestine's face. "Oh, sweetheart, the police took everything. Evidence, you know. Standard procedure for sudden deaths. I just want to sit in there. Please." She hesitated, then nodded. "Of course. Take all the time you need. I'll be in the kitchen if you need anything." Dad's study was at the back of the house, overlooking the garden Mom had planted. I walked down the hallway in a daze, my hand trailing on wallpaper that used to be cream-colored and was now this aggressive burgundy Celestine had chosen. When I pushed open the study door, I almost gasped. The room was destroyed. Not messy, destroyed. Drawers pulled out, books scattered, papers everywhere. File cabinets hanging open, their contents dumped across the floor. Someone had torn this place apart looking for something. What happened here? I called out, but Celestine didn't answer. I stood in the doorway, my grief turning into something else. Something cold and focused. The police didn't do this. They wouldn't. This was someone searching, desperate and thorough. And Celestine had lied. Said they'd taken everything. But everything was still here, just ransacked. I stepped into the room carefully, like I was entering a crime scene. Maybe I was. I started going through papers, not knowing what I was looking for. Bank statements, business documents, photos. Then I saw Dad's phone charging cable plugged into the wall behind his desk, and I followed the cord down. His phone was there, hidden behind a stack of law books. Still charged. Still on. The police definitely hadn't taken it, and Celestine clearly hadn't found it. My hands shook as I picked it up. I knew his password, Mom's birthday. We'd never kept secrets. The phone unlocked, and I saw 17 missed calls from a number I didn't recognize. The most recent one was from the day before he died. And there was a voicemail. Saved to drafts, unsent, recorded 5 days ago. I hit play. Put the phone to my ear. Heard my father's voice, and it broke me. Marlo. He sounded scared. Dad never sounded scared. If you're hearing this, something's happened to me. I need you to listen carefully. Find Evelyn Kaur. She's a lawyer estate specialist. I've given her documents, information you need to see. Don't trust anyone else. Not Thornwick, not Celestine, not her kids. There's something wrong, baby. She's planning something, I know she is. I changed my will, hid evidence, but if I die suddenly. His voice cracked. Don't trust anyone. Find Evelyn. She's the only. The message cut off. Just stopped mid-sentence like he'd been interrupted. Played it again. Then again. My father's voice saying, if I die suddenly, like he knew. Like he was expecting it. Like his heart attack wasn't a heart attack at all. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. I pulled out my own cell, searched Evelyn Kaur, attorney, San Francisco. Found her immediately. Estate law specialist, high-powered firm, impressive track record. And then I saw the news article from 3 months ago. Attorney Evelyn Kaur exposes estate fraud ring, 3 lawyers disbarred. The article detailed how she'd uncovered a scheme where corrupt estate attorneys worked with gold-digging spouses to forge wills, manipulate elderly clients, and steal inheritances. The primary attorney she'd exposed. He'd worked with a woman named Celestine Dumont. Celestine's maiden name. The room spun. I sat down hard in Dad's chair, the leather still smelling like his cologne, and tried to process what I was understanding. My father had known, had suspected, had hired Evelyn Kaur to investigate his own wife. And then he died suddenly, conveniently, right before he could do anything about it. Footsteps in the hallway. Quick, purposeful. I shoved his phone into my jacket pocket just as Celestine appeared in the doorway. Find what you were looking for? She asked, and her voice had lost all its sweetness. She was looking at the mess like she was seeing it for the first time. Her eyes scanning the room, calculating. Just memories, I said, standing up. I should go. I need to find a hotel. Don't be ridiculous. You'll stay here. This is your home. I really shouldn't. I insist. Her smile was sharp. Besides, the will reading is tomorrow morning. Evelyn Kaur will be here to handle everything. Isn't that convenient? The way she said Evelyn's name made my blood freeze. She knew. Course she knew. And tomorrow's meeting wasn't about reading a will. It was about something else entirely. I'll be here, I said, moving toward the door. She didn't move out of my way. Made me brush past her. Made sure I felt how small I was, how alone. Good girl, she whispered as I passed. Your father would be so proud of how cooperative you're being. I walked out of that house and sat in my rental car for 20 minutes, shaking. I called Evelyn Kaur's office, got voicemail. Left a message. This is Marlo Chen. I'm James Chen's daughter. I found your number in my father's phone. He told me to find you. Please, I need to talk to you before tomorrow. Please call me back. She called back 2 minutes later. Marlo. Thank God. Where are you? Are you alone? In my car. Outside my dad's house. What's happening? What did my father tell you? Not over the phone. Meet me at Café Trieste in North Beach. 20 minutes. Come alone. Don't tell anyone where you're going. And Marlo. He paused. Your father didn't have a heart attack. I can prove it. She hung up. I sat there, my father's hidden phone burning a hole in my pocket, and stared at the house where I'd grown up. At the window where I could see Celestine's silhouette, phone pressed to her ear, probably talking to Thornwick or Dashiell or whoever else was in on this nightmare. My phone buzzed. Text from Celestine. Don't forget, 10 a.m. tomorrow. And Marlo. It would be wise to come with an open mind. Your father's affairs are complicated. I'd hate for you to be disappointed. See you in the morning, sweetheart. The last word felt like a threat. I started the car and drove toward North Beach, toward Evelyn, toward answers that I knew were going to destroy whatever world I had left. Café Trieste was crowded, warm, smelling like espresso and old wood. I found Evelyn at a corner table in the back, and she looked exactly like her website photo. Mid-50s, silver hair cut sharp, eyes that didn't miss anything. She stood when she saw me, shook my hand firmly, and I noticed her fingers were trembling slightly. "Sit," she said. "We don't have much time." She slid a folder across the table. "Your father came to me 6 months ago. Said his wife was acting strange. Secretive. He'd caught her on the phone using a different name. Found bank statements that didn't make sense. He wanted me to investigate quietly." "And did you?" "Yes." Evelyn's jaw tightened. "Marlowe, your stepmother's real name is Celestine Marchant. Dumont is an alias. Marchant is an alias. She's had 7 names in the last 15 years. She's been married 4 times before your father. 2 of those husbands died suddenly. Both ruled natural causes. Both left everything to her." The coffee shop noise faded to white static. "You're saying she killed them?" "I'm saying she's a professional. She finds wealthy widowers, marries them quickly, isolates them from family, and within a year or 2 they die and she inherits everything. Then she disappears, changes her name and starts over." Evelyn opened the folder. "Your father was husband number 5. Inside were documents, marriage certificates under different names, death certificates, bank transfers, photos of Celestine with different hair colors, different styles, always on the arm of some well-dressed older man. Always smiling that same cold smile. Dear God, I whispered. She's not alone. She works with an estate attorney named Marcus Thornwick. He handles the legal paperwork, forges wills, creates false documents. They've been operating for at least 12 years. Probably longer. Why didn't you go to the police? Your father wanted to wait. Wanted ironclad proof before we acted. He was gathering evidence, building a case. Evelyn's voice cracked slightly. He recorded conversations, copied financial documents. He found proof that Celestine had been slowly poisoning him. Small doses of digoxin stolen from a prescription that was never his. Just enough to weaken his heart, make a fatal heart attack look natural. I thought I was going to be sick. He knew she was killing him. Not at first. Not until he started feeling strange and got private blood work done. By then the damage was already significant. He had maybe a few months left, and we were racing to build the case before. She didn't finish. Didn't have to. He died before you could stop her. Yes. And now she's moving fast. Tomorrow's will reading is a setup. The real will, the one your father created with me as witness, leaves everything to you. It's hidden. But the will Thornwick has is a forgery. And those documents they'll want you to sign tomorrow. They'll make you legally responsible for millions in fabricated debts. Tax fraud. Money laundering charges. Things your father never did but that they've created paper trails to suggest he did. My head was spinning. Why would I sign that? Because you'll be grieving, confused, trusting that these are just standard estate procedures. And once you sign, they'll have leverage. They'll threaten to expose the fraud, unless you walk away from the estate. You lose everything, they get everything, and you're too buried in legal trouble to fight back. If you do fight, Evelyn met my eyes. The other 2 widows who questioned things. One had a mental breakdown and was institutionalized. The other disappeared. Oh my God. Your father knew all this. That's why he left you that voicemail. That's why he hired me. He changed his will, signed everything over to you legitimately, and hid evidence everywhere. In his boat, his safety deposit box, places only you would know to look. He made me promise to protect you. So tomorrow is a trap. They'll try to make you sign. If you refuse, I believe they'll try to intimidate you. Maybe worse. Celestine's son Dashiell has a record. Assault charges that were dropped. Her daughter Reverie is less involved but complicit. And Thornwick. She leaned forward. He's been disbarred twice in other states under different names. He's dangerous, Marlowe. They're all dangerous. I pulled out my father's hidden phone. He left this. I found it in his study. Celestine tore the place apart looking for something. Evelyn's eyes widened. That phone has recordings. Text messages. I told him to hide it. She can't know you have this. What do I do? Tomorrow you come to the meeting. You act normal, grieving, cooperative. I'll be there as the officiating lawyer because your father specified me in his will. When they present the forgery, I'll know. And when Thornwick brings out those documents to sign, I'll pass you a note. You leave. Immediately. No matter what anyone says. You leave with me. And then we go to the police with everything. Your father gave me enough evidence to bury them all. But we need you safe first. They can't know you're onto them until we're ready to act. I looked down at the folder of information. At Celestine's many faces staring up at me. At death certificates of men who'd loved her and died for it. At my father's handwritten notes in the margins. Protect Marlowe. She's all that matters. He knew he was dying, I said softly. He knew, and he still tried to save me. Your father loved you more than anything. That's why you're still alive. That's why we're going to make sure you stay that way. Evelyn reached across the table, squeezed my hand. Tomorrow, no matter how scared you are, you have to trust me. When I give you that note, you run. He nodded. Couldn't speak. Just nodded. We left separately. I drove to a hotel instead of going back to Dad's house. Paid cash. Registered under a fake name. Spent the night going through his phone, reading messages he'd sent to Evelyn. She's getting impatient. I think she's increasing the dosage. Found another bank account in my name I didn't open. If something happens to me, make sure Marlowe knows I fought. I cried until I had nothing left. Then I got angry. Then I got cold and focused and ready. At 9:45 a.m., I pulled up to my father's house for the will reading. Celestine answered the door in a black dress that probably cost more than my car. Her face a mask of false sympathy. Marlowe, she breathed, pulling me into a hug that felt like being embraced by a snake. I'm so glad you came. Let's get this difficult business over with, shall we? She led me to the dining room. Thornwick was already there, expensive suit, predator eyes. Dashiell lounged in a chair, all muscles and menace. Reverie stared at her phone, uncomfortable but present. And Evelyn sat at the head of the table, her face professionally neutral, giving me nothing. Let's begin, Thornwick said, and his voice made my skin crawl. That's when everything I'm telling you started. That's when Evelyn's hand trembled across the table. That's when I read 4 words that saved my life. But here's what I didn't know yet, what I was about to discover as I ran from that house with my heart pounding and Evelyn's warnings echoing in my head. My father hadn't just hidden evidence in obvious places. He'd hidden something bigger. Something that would blow this whole conspiracy apart. And I was the only person alive who could find it. This is insane, I said for the 3rd time, watching San Francisco disappear in Evelyn's rearview mirror. This is actually insane. Welcome to estate fraud, Evelyn muttered, taking another corner too fast. Been practicing law for 27 years and I've never seen a setup this elaborate. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Celestine. Initial. Thornwick's office. Unknown numbers. Each call felt like a hand reaching through the screen, trying to drag me back to that dining room table. I turned off the ringer, watched the screen light up silently over and over. Where are we going? Somewhere public. Somewhere they can't corner us. Evelyn pulled into a mall parking lot, found a spot near the entrance. We need to figure out our next move before they do. Inside we found a chain restaurant, got a booth in the back corner. Evelyn kept her purse close. I'd noticed her checking it 3 times, like she was making sure something was still there. When the waitress left with our order, Evelyn pulled out a different folder from her bag. Smaller than the one at the cafe. More worn. Your father's last instructions, she said quietly. Written 2 weeks before he died. He knew time was running out. Opened it. Dad's handwriting, shaky but determined. If I don't make it, Marlo needs to know where to find the truth. She'll understand. The place where her mother lives forever. My throat closed up. The boat. He means his boat. You're sure? Mom's ashes. We scattered them from his sailboat 6 years after she died. Out past the Golden Gate. It's docked at Pier 39. He named it the Eleanor after her. My hands were shaking. What's on the boat? Your father wouldn't tell me. Said it was safer if only you knew how to find it. But he promised it was everything we need. The real will, proof of Celestine's history, evidence of the poisoning, all of it. Evelyn paused. There's something else. That phone you found. Your father made recordings in the last week of his life. Conversations with Celestine where she basically admits everything. Gloating about how perfect her plan was. How she'd gotten away with it before and would again. She said that. To his face. She thought he was too weak to fight back. Thought the digoxin had made him confused and helpless. Evelyn's voice went hard. She miscalculated. I thought about my father, sick and dying, still recording evidence. Still protecting me from beyond the grave. The grief was going to kill me, but right now I needed it to fuel something else. Rage. Determination. Justice. We should go to the police now, I said. With what we have. It's not enough yet. Recordings can be dismissed as fakes. The documents I have are copies. We need the originals on that boat. And we need to move fast because... Her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and her face went pale. We need to go. Now. What? Why? He showed me the text. Unknown number. Tell Miss Chen that her father's boat is very flammable. Would be a shame if evidence burned before she could collect it. You have until midnight to return what's ours. The restaurant tilted sideways. They know. They know your father hid something. They don't know where, but they're guessing. They might try the boat. We need to get there first. Evelyn threw cash on the table. It's 2 p.m. now. We get to the boat, get the evidence, and drive straight to the police. No delays. No second chances. We practically ran to the car. Evelyn drove like she'd done getaway driving before, weaving through downtown traffic, checking mirrors constantly. When we hit the Embarcadero, I could see the bay sparkling in afternoon sunlight. It looked peaceful, beautiful, completely wrong for what we were doing. Are you still with me? If you're enjoying this story, or if your heart's racing as hard as mine was, hit that like button. Drop a comment letting me know if you've ever had to run from something that scared you half to death. Your support keeps these stories coming, and I read every single comment. Now let's get to that boat before they do. Pier 39 was crowded with tourists. Sea lions barked from their platform, kids ate ice cream, street performers played guitars. Normal people having a normal day while I was living through a nightmare. We parked and walked fast toward the dock slips, Evelyn gripping her purse, me with my father's phone in my pocket like a live grenade. Slip 47, I said. It should be just past the... Stop. Evelyn walked into my back. What? Pointed. Slip 47 was empty. The Eleanor was gone. No, I whispered. No. It was here 3 months ago. I saw it. Dad sent me a photo on his birthday from the deck. Evelyn was already pulling out her phone, calling someone. Marina office. Yes, I need information about a boat registered to James Chen, slip 47. When was it last? She listened. Her face went gray. I see. Thank you. What? The boat was moved 5 days ago. Relocated to a private dock in Sausalito. The marina says James Chen authorized the transfer. He was dead 5 days ago. Exactly. Evelyn grabbed my arm. They moved it. Celestine or Thornwick. They beat us to it. My legs felt like water. All of it, Dad's evidence, the real will, proof of everything, gone. Burned probably. Destroyed. We had nothing. Wait. I pulled out Dad's phone, scrolled through recent photos. Look, this photo is from 2 weeks before he died. He took it standing on the boat deck. I zoomed in on the background. There, barely visible, was the reflection in the cabin window. Dad's reflection. And in his hand he was holding something small. Key on a blue cord. He was showing me where to look, I breathed. This wasn't just a random photo. He was leaving clues. Evelyn leaned in. Can you see what the key opens? I zoomed more. The pixelation was bad, but there was something stamped on the key. Numbers. It looks like 2847. Safety deposit box. That's a safety deposit box key. Evelyn was already Googling. Your father banked at Wells Fargo on Market Street. That's where he'd have a box. But we can't access it without being listed on the box. Which you might be. He was thorough about everything else. He checked her watch. Bank closes at 5. It's 2:45. We can make it if we move now. We ran back to the car. I kept looking over my shoulder, expecting to see Dashiell's hulking form or Celestine's cold smile. The tourists seemed oblivious, laughing and taking selfies while my world was imploding. How could they not feel it? How could they not sense the danger? Traffic was hell. Evelyn cursed, honked, took illegal turns. My phone lit up again. Celestine calling for the dozenth time. This time she left a voicemail. Against my better judgment, I listened. Marlo. Her voice was different now. No sweetness. Just ice. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Your father was a foolish man who didn't understand what he'd gotten himself into. I gave him 3 good years. That's more than the others got. Come back. Sign the papers. Walk away with your little token inheritance and forget this ever happened. If you don't, she paused. Well, accidents happen. Your father learned that. Don't make me teach you the same lesson. The voicemail ended. I played it again, hands shaking, and held the phone toward Evelyn. Did you hear that? That's a confession. That's her admitting. Record it. Save it. Send it to my email right now. Evelyn's voice was sharp, focused. That's evidence we can use. I did, fumbling with the phone, almost dropping it twice. When the email sent successfully, I felt like I could breathe again. We had something. Not enough, but something. The bank appeared ahead, modern glass and steel. Evelyn pulled into a loading zone, hazards on. We're not leaving this car here long. Get in, get the box contents, get out. 5 minutes maximum. We walked in together. The lobby was quiet, air-conditioned, smelling like new carpet and money. A young woman at the information desk smiled professionally. How can I help you? Safety deposit box access, Evelyn said. Box 2847. This is Marlo Chen, daughter of James Chen. The woman's smile faltered. Oh, Ms. Chen. I'm so sorry for your loss. Your father was a valued client. She typed on her computer. Let me just verify. Yes, you're listed as co-holder on the box. I'll need to see ID. I showed her my driver's license. She compared the photo, nodded, typed more. I'll need you to sign in, and then I can take you down to the vault. The process felt like it took hours. Signing forms, walking downstairs, waiting while she unlocked the vault door. Every second screaming at me to move faster, go quicker, they're coming. Finally, she pulled box 2847 from the wall, set it on a private viewing table, and left us alone. Open it, Evelyn whispered. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely lift the lid. Inside, the box was packed with documents, folders, USB drives, and a sealed envelope with my name written in Dad's handwriting. I opened the envelope first. A letter, 2 pages. His words swimming through my tears. My darling Marlo, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't see what Celestine was until it was too late. But I saw it eventually, And I made sure she wouldn't win. Everything in this box is the truth. Bank records showing she's stolen from 4 previous husbands. Medical records proving the digoxin poisoning. Recordings of her admitting everything when she thought I was too weak to understand. The real will leaving everything to you. Take it to the police. Take it to Evelyn. Trust no one else. And Marlo, I need you to forgive me. I brought this monster into our lives. I put you in danger. But I fixed it. Promise I fixed it. You're going to be safe now. You're going to be rich, yes, but more than that, you're going to be free. Live well. Love hard. Make your mother proud. Make me proud. You already do. Forever, Dad. I couldn't see through the tears. Couldn't breathe. Evelyn's hand on my shoulder was the only thing keeping me upright. Look at this, she said softly, pulling out a thick folder. Transfer records. She moved $3 million from your father's accounts to offshore holdings in the Cayman Islands. 2 weeks before he died. Another folder. Marriage certificates. She's been Celestine Dumont, Celestine Marchant, Claire Devereaux, Catherine Montrose. 4 different identities. 4 dead husbands. A medical file. Toxicology reports your father paid for privately. Lethal levels of digoxin building in his system over 6 months. USB drives labeled in Dad's handwriting. Recordings March through September. She confesses to everything. And at the bottom, official and notarized, the real will. Witnessed by Evelyn Kaur and Martin Prescott, Dad's business partner. Everything, the house, the business, the investments, the life insurance, all of it, left to me. Not $5,000. $12 million. We have her, Evelyn breathed. Dear God, Marlo, we have everything. This is enough to put her away for life. Multiple murders, fraud, theft, attempted fraud against you. This is it. I was loading everything back into the box, hands still shaking when my phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. I opened it and my blood turned to ice. It was a photo. Me and Evelyn taken from outside the bank. Through the glass doors. Taken maybe 2 minutes ago. The message below it read, Box 2847. We know. Come out now or we come in. Don't make a scene. I showed Evelyn. She went white. They followed us. What do we do? She looked at the vault room's single door, then at the box of evidence, then at me. Her jaw set. We take everything. We walk out the front like we own the place. And we go straight to the police station 3 blocks from here. They won't try anything in public. You sure about that? No. But it's the only option we have. We loaded everything into Evelyn's oversized purse, keeping the most important documents in my jacket. The real will. The toxicology reports. 2 USB drives. If they grabbed the purse, we'd still have the critical pieces. The vault attendant smiled when we came out. All set. Perfect, Evelyn said, voice steady. Thank you so much. We walked through the lobby, past the tellers, toward the glass doors and the street beyond. I could see Evelyn's car still in the loading zone, hazards blinking. And I could see the black SUV parked across the street. Tinted windows, engine running. Don't look at it, Evelyn muttered. Just keep walking. We pushed through the doors. Afternoon sunshine hit my face. Tourists walked past. Traffic hummed. Everything normal. Everything fine. The SUV's door opened. Dashiell stepped out. 6'3" of muscle and threat. He started crossing the street toward us, and he wasn't hurrying. Didn't need to. His size alone made people move out of his way. Car, Evelyn hissed. Now. We ran. Heels clicking on concrete, purse banging against Evelyn's hip, my jacket clutched tight against my chest. Dashiell broke into a run behind us. I heard his footsteps, heavy and fast. We reached the car. Evelyn fumbled with keys. Drop them. No. I grabbed them, unlocked it, threw myself in the passenger side. Evelyn dove in the driver's side just as Dashiell reached us. His hand slammed against my window, making me scream. His face pressed against the glass, all rage and menace. Get out of the car, Marlowe, he said, voice muffled but clear. Don't make this ugly. Evelyn started the engine, threw it in reverse. Dashiell held on to the door handle. We dragged him 3 feet before he let go, stumbling back. Evelyn shifted into drive and punched the gas, tires squealing. In the side mirror, I watched Dashiell pull out a phone. Making a call. Coordinating. Police station, Evelyn said, voice tight. 2 blocks. We're almost there. Traffic light ahead turned red. We didn't stop. Horns blared. Someone shouted. Evelyn took a corner too wide, jumped the curb, corrected. The police station appeared ahead. Concrete building, American flag, the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And blocking the entrance was Celestine's white Mercedes. She stepped out, phone in hand, wearing sunglasses that hid her eyes but not her smile. That cold, victorious smile. She's blocking us, I said. How is she? Hold on. Evelyn yanked the wheel, jumped another curb, drove through a parking lot. Back entrance. There has to be a back entrance. There was. A smaller door, employee parking, less dramatic but just as official. Evelyn pulled right up to it, threw the car in park. Run, she said. Don't stop. Don't look back. We ran again. Through the door. Into a hallway. Officer looked up, startled. Hey, you can't. We need to report multiple murders, Evelyn gasped. Estate fraud. We have evidence. We're being followed. Please. The officer's expression changed. He reached for his radio. Stay here. I'll get a detective. But behind us, the door opened again. Celestine walked in like she owned the place. Dashiell right behind her. She saw us and her smile widened. Officers, she said, voice dripping false concern. Thank God. My stepdaughter is having a breakdown. She's been threatening me, harassing me, stealing from my late husband's estate. I've been trying to get her help, but she ran off with this woman. She pointed at Evelyn, who's been filling her head with conspiracy theories. That's a lie, I said, but my voice came out shaky, weak. She killed my father. She's killed before. We have proof. Proof of what, sweetheart? Celestine pulled out her phone, showed the officer something. I have texts from Marlowe threatening me. Voicemails. She's been unstable since her father passed. It's understandable, truly. Grief can make people. I'm attorney Evelyn Kaur. Evelyn cut in, pulling out her bar card. This woman is Celestine Marchant, also known as Celestine Dumont, Claire Devereaux, and Catherine Montrose. She's wanted in connection with the deaths of at least 4 men, including James Chen. We have documentation in this bag proving. Dashiell moved fast. Grabbed for Evelyn's purse. She held on, they struggled, and suddenly documents were flying everywhere. USB drives clattering on linoleum. Papers scattering. More officers appeared, shouting, separating everyone. Hands on me, pulling me back. Hands on Celestine, on Dashiell, on Evelyn. Everyone yelling at once. Kiss. And in that chaos, Celestine's eyes met mine. She mouthed 2 words. You lose. Then a voice cut through everything. Loud, authoritative, commanding instant silence. Nobody moves. Nobody talks. And someone better explain to me why there's a federal warrant for a Celestine Marchant, and why that name just echoed through my station. A man in a dark suit stood in the hallway. Badge on his belt. FBI. Celestine's smile finally disappeared. The FBI agent's name was Bradley Morrison, and he looked at Celestine like she was something he'd been hunting for years. Which, as it turned out, he had been. Celestine Marchant, he said, walking toward her slowly. Also known as Catherine Montrose, wanted in connection with the death of Richard Montrose in Austin, Texas, 2019. We've been looking for you for 6 years. Celestine's face went blank. Perfectly controlled. I don't know what you're talking about. My name is Celestine Chen. I'm a widow. This is harassment. You're a serial killer, Morrison said flatly. And you just made the mistake of your career by coming into a police station. He looked at me, at Evelyn, at the scattered documents on the floor. Someone want to tell me what's happening here? Evelyn spoke first, fast and precise. James Chen died 4 days ago. Alleged heart attack. His widow, she pointed at Celestine, presented a forged will today, leaving everything to her. When his daughter Marlo refused to sign fraudulent documents, they threatened her. We have evidence of poisoning, financial fraud, and at least 4 previous similar cases. Morrison's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. Interest. Focus. The documents. I pulled the papers from inside my jacket. The real will. The toxicology reports. My father was poisoned with digoxin over 6 months. He knew what was happening. He documented everything. Morrison took the papers carefully, scanned them. His jaw tightened. He looked at Dashiell. You related to her? I want a lawyer, Dashiell said immediately. That's a yes. Morrison gestured to the uniformed officers. Detain them both. Get me an interrogation room and someone from the DA's office. Now. Officers moved. Celestine didn't resist, but she kept her eyes on me the whole time. Cold. Calculating. Even now, even caught, she looked dangerous. Ms. Chen. Morrison turned to me. I need you and Ms. Kaur to come with me. We have a lot to discuss. The next 3 hours were a blur. Conference rooms. Questions. More FBI agents appearing. Evelyn explaining the timeline while I sat there shaking, drinking terrible coffee, trying to process that it was over. That we'd actually done it. Morrison recorded everything. Took copies of the documents. Confiscated Dad's phone with all the recordings. Brought in a tech specialist to start analyzing the USB drives. The evidence was overwhelming, he said. Fleming. They'd been building a case on Celestine for years based on the Texas murder. But she'd vanished. Changed names. Started over in San Francisco. Your father wasn't her first victim in California, Morrison told me. There was a man in Napa 2 years before your father. Gerald Ashford. Died of an apparent stroke. Left everything to his new wife, a woman named Claire Devereaux. She disappeared before anyone could question the circumstances. How many? Asked. My voice sounded hollow. How many men did she kill? That we know of. 5, including your father. But I think there are more. She's been doing this for at least 15 years. Maybe longer. 15 years. How many lives destroyed? How many children left grieving, confused, not knowing their fathers had been murdered? What about Thornwick? Evelyn asked. The estate attorney. He was complicit in everything. We picked him up an hour ago. He's cooperating. Already gave up Celestine, Dashiell, everyone involved. Trying to cut a deal. Morrison's expression was disgusted. He's been forging wills and estate documents for her since 2014. They've stolen an estimated $40 million from their victims. $40 million. And my father had been just one target in a long line of targets. One more lonely widower who'd thought he'd found love and found death instead. I want to watch, I said suddenly. When you interrogate her. I want to see her face. Morrison hesitated. That's not. She killed my father. She tried to destroy me. I deserve to see her answer for it. He looked at Evelyn, who nodded. Let her. She's earned it. They set us up in an observation room with one-way glass. Celestine sat at a metal table, hands cuffed, looking smaller somehow. Less powerful. Dashiell was in a different room, probably selling her out just like Thornwick had. Honor among thieves, such as it was. Morrison entered the interrogation room with another agent. Sat down across from Celestine. Started the recording. For the record, state your name. Celestine looked directly at the one-way glass. Directly at where she knew I was standing. Celestine Chen. Widow of James Chen. Try again. Real name. Oz. Then almost bored. Celestine Marchant. Let's talk about your husband. How did James Chen die? Heart attack. Natural causes. even though toxicology reports show lethal levels of digoxin in his system. Digoxin from a prescription that was never his. Something flickered across her face. The first crack in her composure. I don't know anything about that. We have recordings, Ms. Marchant. Your late husband recorded conversations where you admitted to poisoning him. Where you gloated about how easy it was. Her face went hard. Those are fakes. Marlowe created them. She's been trying to steal her father's estate from me since he died. Is that why you presented a forged will today? Why you tried to get her to sign fraudulent documents? I don't know what you're talking about. Morrison leaned forward. Let me tell you what I know. I know you killed Richard Montrose in 2019. Gerald Ashford in 2022. James Chen in 2024. I know you've used at least 7 different names. I know you've been running this operation with Marcus Thornwick for over a decade. And I know Thornwick is in the next room right now, giving you up for every single crime to save his own skin. Celestine's jaw clenched. Finally, a reaction. So here's what's going to happen, Morrison continued. You're going to be charged with multiple counts of first-degree murder, fraud, theft, conspiracy. You're looking at life without parole at minimum. Death penalty at maximum. Your only option is to cooperate. Tell us everything. Every victim, every crime, every accomplice. Maybe we recommend life instead of execution. Silence. Celestine stared at the table. Or, Morrison said, you stay quiet and we build the case without you. Either way, you're done. More silence. Then Celestine looked up at the one-way glass again. Looked right at me even though she couldn't see me. I want to talk to Marlowe, she said. Alone. Then I'll tell you everything. Morrison glanced at the glass. That's not going to happen. Then you get nothing. I'll take my chances with a jury. My hand was on the door handle before Evelyn could stop me. I'll do it. Marlowe, no. I'll do it. I want to hear what she has to say. Morrison came out, pulled me aside. She's manipulating you. Playing on your emotions. Don't give her the satisfaction. She can't hurt me anymore. Let me talk to her. He studied my face, then sighed. 5 minutes. We'll be right outside. Any trouble, we come in. Understood. He nodded. Walked into the interrogation room. Sat down across from the woman who'd murdered my father. Close, she looked tired. Older. Human. It was almost disappointing. I'd built her up in my head as this monster, this inhuman thing. But she was just a woman. A broken, evil woman, but still just a woman. Marlowe, she said, and her voice was different. Softer. Almost sad. You really couldn't just take the money and walk away? You killed him. He was already dying. I just accelerated the timeline. Rage flashed through me white hot. He was my father. And you were his weakness. Do you know he begged? At the end, when he knew what I'd done. He didn't beg for his life. He begged for yours. Don't hurt Marlowe. Please. Take everything but don't hurt my girl. She smiled, and it was almost gentle. It was pathetic. But also kind of beautiful. My hands were shaking. I wanted to hit her. Scream at her. Make her hurt the way she'd hurt him. Why? Managed. Why do this? Why kill anyone? She leaned back, chains clinking. Because I can. Because rich, lonely men are easy targets. Because I deserve to be rich, and this is how I get there. He paused. And because it's fun, Marlowe. Planning. The execution. Watching them fall in love while I'm planning their death. It's the most alive I ever feel. I stared at her. At this person who destroyed my life, my father's life. So many lives, for money and thrills, and because she could. You're going to die in prison, I said quietly. Alone. Forgotten. And I'm going to live. I'm going to use Dad's money to help people. To make sure no one else falls for monsters like you. That's his legacy. Not you. Never you. Something shifted in her expression. Anger maybe. Or respect. Hard to tell. They asked me to tell them everything, she said. All the victims. All the crimes. Want to know the truth. There are more. So many more. Names you'll never know. Men whose deaths were never questioned. Families who never got justice. She leaned forward. And that's going to haunt you forever, isn't it? Knowing I killed people you'll never be able to save. I stood up. You're right. I will. But you'll still be in prison. And I'll still be free. So I guess I win. I walked out without looking back. Heard her laugh behind me, cold and bitter, but I didn't care. She couldn't touch me anymore. Couldn't hurt me. She was finished. Morrison met me in the hallway. She say anything useful? Nothing you need. She just wanted to twist the knife one more time. I looked at him. How long until trial? Months. Maybe a year. But with the evidence you provided, she's not walking away from this. I promise you that. Evelyn appeared, touched my arm gently. Let's get you out of here. You've been through enough for one day. One day. This morning I'd walked into a will reading. Now I was walking out of a police station, my father's killer in custody. His real will secured, his murder exposed. Felt surreal. Like I'd lived a month in 12 hours. Outside the sun was setting. The city looked beautiful and terrible, and exactly the same as it had this morning when I'd thought I was just attending a reading of my father's will. When I'd had no idea how much danger I was in. How much he'd sacrificed to save me. What happens now? Asked Evelyn. Now. You inherit everything. You grieve properly. You heal. She squeezed my shoulder. And you live, Marlowe. You live the life your father wanted for you. We walked to her car. My phone turned back on showed 63 missed calls. Most from numbers I didn't recognize, but 3 from Aunt Linda. I should call her. Tell her everything. But not tonight. Tonight I just needed to breathe. As we drove away from the police station, I looked back one more time. Saw the building disappearing behind us. Somewhere in there, Celestine was realizing her life was over. That she'd finally been caught. That all her planning and manipulation and murder had led her here. And somewhere else, somewhere better, I hope my father knew. Knew that I'd found his evidence. Knew that I'd been brave. Knew that his sacrifice hadn't been for nothing. Thank you, I whispered, not sure if I was talking to Evelyn or to Dad or to whoever might be listening. Evelyn glanced at me. For what? For believing me. For helping. For. My voice cracked. For keeping me alive. Your father did that, she said gently. I just followed his instructions. He saved you, Marlowe. One last time. We drove into the sunset, into whatever came next, and for the first time since that phone call 3 days ago, I felt like I might actually survive this. But I was wrong about one thing. It wasn't over yet. Not even close. The key felt heavier than it should have. Small piece of brass on a blue cord, sitting in my palm like a promise or a threat. I'd found it in the evidence box from the bank, tucked into a corner I'd missed the first time. No label. No explanation. Just a key and the weight of knowing my father had hidden it there for a reason. What do you think it opens? Evelyn asked. We were sitting in her office 3 days after Celestine's arrest. 3 days of police interviews, lawyer meetings, and paperwork that never seemed to end. Outside, San Francisco hummed with normal life while mine stayed frozen in this weird limbo between grief and relief. I don't know. Dad's storage unit, maybe? Or. I trailed off, turning the key over. Something scratched on the back caught my eye. Numbers. Faint, like he'd etched them with something sharp. Look at this. Evelyn leaned in. Coordinates. Maybe. Or a locker number. Or. My phone buzzed. Morrison's name on the screen. I answered on speaker. Agent Morrison. Ms. Chen. We have a problem. His voice was tight. Won't. Celestine posted bail 2 hours ago. The room tilted. What? How is that even possible? You said. Her daughter Reverie put up her house as collateral. Judge deemed her a flight risk but accepted the bail at $2 million. By the time we processed the paperwork, she was gone. We have her on house arrest with an ankle monitor, but she's out there. My throat closed. She's out and she knows where I am. We have officers watching her apartment. She can't leave a 2-mile radius without triggering alarms. But I wanted you to be aware. Stay vigilant. Don't go anywhere alone. He hung up. I stared at the phone, then at Evelyn, then at the key in my hand that suddenly felt like the most important thing in the world. Your father left this for a reason, Evelyn said quietly. Whatever it opens, it's something Celestine doesn't know about. Something she can't destroy. We need to find out what. I pulled up the photo on my phone again. The one Dad took on the boat. The one where I'd first seen the key reflected in the window. Zoomed in past the pixelation, past the blur, looking for anything I'd missed. And there, in the very edge of the frame, a sign. Marina name partially visible. Not Pier 39. Somewhere else. Crissy Field Marina, I breathed. That's not where the Eleanor was docked. Why would he take a photo there? Evelyn was already Googling. Crissy Field has private storage lockers. For boat equipment, personal items. Requires a key for access. She looked at me. That's what this opens. We need to go. Now. Marlowe, if Celestine figures out. She's under house arrest. He can't follow us. And Morrison said she doesn't know about this key. This might be our last chance to find whatever Dad was protecting. 20 minutes later, we were driving across the Golden Gate Bridge. The bay sparkled below us, the city behind us, and ahead lay Crissy Field with its beach and marina and whatever secrets my father had left behind. I kept checking the side mirror, paranoid that every car was following us, that Celestine had somehow slipped her ankle monitor and was hunting us down. Talk to me, Evelyn said. You're spiraling. My dad knew he was dying. Knew she was killing him. Why didn't he just go to the police? Why all these games, these clues? Because he needed ironclad proof. Because men like your father, successful, intelligent, proud, they don't want to admit they've been fooled. They want to fix it themselves. She glanced at me. And because he was protecting you. If he'd gone to the police too early, without enough evidence, Celestine would have known. She might have accelerated her timeline. Gone after you. The thought made my stomach turn. You think she would have killed me? I think she would have done whatever necessary to protect her operation. Your father understood that. So he played along. Gathered evidence. Hid it where only you could find it. And he made sure that even if he died, you'd have everything you needed to take her down. We reached the marina. Small, private, expensive looking. I showed the attendant my ID, explained that my father James Chen had a locker here. The attendant checked his computer, nodded slowly. Locker 2847. Same number as his safety deposit box. He paid for 10 years up front. Wanted to make sure it stayed secure. The attendant handed me a clipboard. Sign here. You'll have privacy. Take all the time you need. The locker was at the end of a long concrete hallway, temperature controlled, each door identical. 2847 sat in the corner like it had been waiting for me. I slid the key in. Turned smoothly. The door swung open. Inside was a waterproof case, the kind sailors use for important documents. I lifted it out, set it on the ground, opened the latches with shaking hands. And inside, "Oh my God," Evelyn whispered. It was filled with journals. 5 of them, leather-bound, my father's handwriting covering every page. Dates spanning 6 months. And on top, a letter addressed to me in his careful script. Opened it. Read words that blurred through tears. Marlowe, if you're reading this, you found everything. You're safe. You're free. But there's more you need to know. Celestine wasn't working alone. There's someone bigger behind her operation. Someone who recruits women like her, trains them, takes a cut of every inheritance they steal. Found evidence. Locations. Bank accounts. Everything you need to bring down the entire network. It's in these journals. But sweetheart, this is dangerous. More dangerous than anything you've faced so far. You don't have to do this. You can take what you've already found, put Celestine away, and walk away. No one would blame you. But if you want to finish what I started, if you want to make sure no other daughters lose their fathers to these monsters, it's all here. The choice is yours. Love you. Trust you. Do what feels right. Dad. I looked up at Evelyn. She was already reaching for the first journal, reading the first page, her expression getting darker with every line. There are 12 of them, she said. 12 women running the same scheme across the country. All coordinated by someone Celestine called the broker. They share tactics, warn each other about investigations, help each other disappear when things get hot. She looked up. Your father found the broker's real name. Found evidence of 63 murders over 20 years. 63. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. 63 men dead. 63 families destroyed. And my father had discovered it all, documented it all, left it for me to decide what to do with it. If this story is making your heart race, if you're wondering what comes next, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment telling me if you'd pursue justice or walk away to stay safe. Your engagement means everything, and I promise you this gets even deeper. Now let's see what choice I made. We take this to Morrison, I said. My voice sounded stronger than I felt. We give him everything. Let the FBI handle it. Marlowe. I'm not a detective. I'm not a cop. I'm a grant writer who just watched her father's murderer get arrested. This. I gestured at the journals. This is bigger than me. Bigger than us. We need professionals. Evelyn looked relieved. You're making the right choice. We loaded everything back into the case, locked the locker, walked back to the car. The sun was setting again. How was it always sunset in this nightmare? And the Golden Gate Bridge glowed orange in the dying light. Beautiful and terrible, and I just wanted to go home. Wherever home was now. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Marlowe Chen. A woman's voice. Smooth. Professional. Wong. Who is this? Someone who knows what you just found at Chrissy Field. Someone who knows what your father discovered. Was. Someone who would very much like to have those journals back. I spread through my chest. How did you? The marina has security cameras, dear. Not very good ones, but good enough. Now I'm going to make this simple. You have something that belongs to me. I want it back. In exchange, I'll make sure Celestine's bail is revoked, her charges upgraded, and she never sees daylight again. You get justice for your father. I get my property. Everyone wins. Except the 63 men you've murdered. Silence. Then a laugh. Cold. Calculating. 67 actually. Your father miscounted. But who's keeping track? Her voice hardened. You have 24 hours to bring those journals to a location I'll text you. Come alone. If you go to the police, if you tell anyone, the deal is off. And Marlowe. I have resources you can't imagine. Can make you disappear. I can make it look like grief-driven suicide. I can make sure your father's legacy is that his daughter couldn't handle his loss. Don't test me. She hung up. My phone buzzed immediately. A text with an address in Oakland. Warehouse District. Tomorrow at midnight. That was her, I said. My voice shook. The broker. She knows everything. Evelyn grabbed the phone, read the text, and immediately started driving faster. We're going to the FBI. Right now. Tonight. Morrison needs to know about this. She said if we tell anyone. She's bluffing. She wants those journals because they can destroy her. Without them we have nothing but hearsay. We need the FBI to set up surveillance protection. We can't do this alone. She was right. Course she was right. But something about the broker's voice stayed with me. The confidence. The certainty. Like she'd done this before. Like she knew exactly how this would play out. We drove to the FBI field office. Morrison met us in the lobby, took one look at our faces, and ushered us upstairs without questions. In his office, we spread out the journals while I told him about the phone call. He listened without interrupting, his expression getting grimmer with every word. This is bigger than we thought, he said finally. If there's really a coordinated network, if there's someone orchestrating multiple operations. He picked up one of the journals, scanned a page. These women aren't just con artists. They're contract killers hiding behind romance. And someone's profiting from all of it. What do we do? Yes. We set a trap. You go to that meeting tomorrow. We wire you. Set up surveillance. Catch her in the act of threatening you, trying to recover evidence. Then we sweep in and take her down along with everyone in her network. You want me to be bait. I want you to help us end this. For your father. For all the victims. Morrison leaned forward. We'll keep you safe. Promise. But we need the broker on record. We need her to incriminate herself. I looked at Evelyn. She looked torn. It's dangerous, Marlowe. But it might be the only way. I thought about my father. About him documenting everything, putting himself at risk, choosing to fight even when he knew it would cost him his life. About the letter he'd left me. Do what feels right. I'll do it, I said. I'll wear the wire. I'll meet her. But the second things go wrong, you come in. Agreed. Morrison nodded. Agreed. We'll have agents positioned all around the warehouse. You won't be alone for a second. We spent the next hour planning. Where the agents would hide. What I should say. How to get the broker talking. By the time we left, it was past midnight. Evelyn drove me to a hotel the FBI had booked under a fake name. 2 agents stationed in the hallway. Protection detail. Try to sleep, Evelyn said at the door. Tomorrow's going to be intense. Sleep. Like that was possible. I lay in the dark hotel room, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had happened in less than a week. Dad's death. Celestine's arrest. The journals. The broker. Felt like a lifetime compressed into days. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. I'm looking forward to meeting you tomorrow, Marlowe. Your father was so determined to stop me. Let's see if his daughter has the same courage. Or if she's smarter than he was. Sleep well. I didn't sleep at all. The warehouse looked exactly like every crime movie location I'd ever seen. Abandoned. Graffitied. Windows broken. Located in a part of Oakland where nobody asked questions and everybody minded their own business. Morrison had driven by 3 times doing recon. And now I sat in an FBI van 2 blocks away, getting wired up while agents checked and rechecked equipment. Audio's clear, a tech said, adjusting the tiny microphone taped between my ribs. Visual's good. We'll hear and see everything. Morrison knelt in front of me. Remember, your only job is to get her talking. Get her to admit who she is, what she's done. We handle everything else. You feel unsafe for even a second, you say the code word. Pineapple, I said. We'd pick something random, unlikely to come up in normal conversation. Though nothing about this conversation was going to be normal. Right. You say pineapple, we come in hot. Otherwise, we wait until we have enough for an arrest. He squeezed my shoulder. You're brave, Marlowe. Your father would be proud. 20 minutes later, I was walking toward the warehouse alone. Well, not alone. 8 FBI agents were positioned around the building. 2 snipers on rooftops. Morrison in a command van monitoring everything. But it felt alone. Felt like walking toward something that might swallow me whole. The warehouse door was propped open. Inside darkness. I pulled out my phone, used the flashlight to navigate around debris and broken pallets. The air smelled like rust and decay. Hello, my voice echoed. Keep walking. The broker's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Speakers. She'd set up speakers. Straight back. There's a door. Found it. Old office, maybe. Pushed it open. And stopped breathing. The room was set up like an office. A computer. File cabinets, and sitting behind the desk, perfectly composed, was a woman in her 60s. Elegant, well-dressed. She looked like someone's grandmother. Someone who baked cookies and volunteered at libraries. Not someone who orchestrated dozens of murders. Marlowe Chen, she said, smiling. Please sit. Can I offer you water? You look pale. I'm fine. I sat in the chair across from her, keeping the journals clutched against my chest. The FBI could see and hear everything. Just get her talking. You're the broker. I prefer Margaret Westwood, but yes. That's what my girls call me. She leaned back, studying me. You look like your father. Same eyes. Same stubborn set to your jaw. He was quite determined to stop me, you know. Spent months gathering evidence. It was almost admirable. He's dead because of you. He's dead because of Celestine. I don't kill anyone, dear. I simply facilitate opportunities, provide structure, training, resources. What my associates do with those tools is their choice. You take a cut of every inheritance they steal. That makes you complicit in murder. Margaret smiled. Legally, it makes me a financial advisor. I help women invest their assets. What they did to acquire those assets is their business. She gestured at the journals. But those documents suggest otherwise. Your father was quite thorough. Names, dates, amounts. Enough to connect me to 67 deaths across 20 years. Quite damning. Say it. Say you're responsible. Give us something we can use. So you admit it, I said. You're running a murder-for-hire operation. I'm running a business. Successful one. Do you know how much money we've extracted from lonely, wealthy men? Over $300 million. And society is better for it. Those men chose younger women because they were vain and foolish. They chose wrong. That's not my fault. They were murdered. For money. They were relieved of assets they would have wasted anyway. Margaret's smile faded. Now the journals. Hand them over. Why should I? Because if you don't, I'll make a phone call. Celestine will disappear. Her ankle monitor will malfunction. She'll vanish into a network of safe houses spanning 3 continents. You'll never see justice for your father. Is that what you want? My hand tightened on the journals. Morrison's voice crackled in my hidden earpiece. Keep going. We need more. If I give you these, I said slowly, what happens to the other women? The other 11 running your schemes? They continue working, making money, living well. The world keeps turning. And the families. The children who lost fathers. Margaret's expression went cold. Collateral damage. Every business has costs. You're a monster. I'm a realist. Men like your father think they can buy young beautiful women with their money and charm. They're wrong. We simply take what they offer. He stood. Last chance, Marlowe. The journals. Now. I stood too. You want them. Come take them. Her face twisted. She pulled out a phone, pressed a button. Gentlemen. Miss Chen is being difficult. 2 men entered from a back door. Big, armed. Not FBI. My heart stuttered. Morrison, I whispered. Static in my earpiece. Then Morrison's voice urgent. Marlowe, get out. Pineapple. Say pineapple. But before I could speak, Margaret was moving around the desk, fast for her age. She grabbed my arm, twisted it behind my back. Pain shot through my shoulder. The journals fell. Did you really think I wouldn't know you were wired? She hissed in my ear. Did you think I'd fall for such an obvious trap? She nodded at the 2 men. Find the FBI. Handle them quietly. The men left. I struggled against Margaret's grip. You can't, the FBI knows you're here. There are agents everywhere. There were agents. Now there are just bodies. She released me, picked up the journals. Thank you for bringing these directly to me. Saved me considerable trouble. You killed them. I couldn't breathe. You killed FBI agents. Of course not. I made a phone call. People far more dangerous than me did the killing. Told you, Marlowe. I have resources you can't imagine. The door burst open. But it wasn't Morrison. It was Dashiell, and he was smiling in a way that made my blood freeze. Couldn't find the feds, he said. Think they ran when they realized what they were up against. But I did find something interesting. He held up Morrison's badge. It was covered in blood. Guy put up a fight. Didn't matter. No, I whispered. No, you didn't. Relax. He's alive. Barely. Ambulance might get there in time. Might not. Dashiell moved toward me. Ms. Westwood. What do you want me to do with her? Margaret considered me. Marlowe, you have a choice. Walk away. Right now. Forget everything you've learned. Live your life. Inherit your father's money. Or. She gestured at Dashiell. Well, you're a smart girl. You understand the alternative. I looked at the journals in her hands. Dashiell blocking the door. At Margaret's cold smile. Everything my father had worked for about to disappear. All those families never getting justice. Celestine walking free. The whole network continuing. Do what feels right, Dad had written. Ran. Not toward the door. Dashiell would catch me in seconds. Toward the window. Toward the broken glass and the 3-story drop and the tiny chance that momentum would carry me far enough to hit the dumpster below instead of concrete. I heard Margaret shout. Heard Dashiell running. Felt hands grab at my jacket. But I was already diving through the window. Glass shredding my clothes, air rushing past, the ground coming up fast and hard, and I hit the dumpster. Trash bags exploded. Pain everywhere. But I was alive. I rolled off the edge, hit the ground, started running. Heard shouting above. Heard footsteps thundering downstairs. Run. Just run. I burst onto the street. Cars swerving. People yelling. I ran toward lights, toward people, toward safety. Behind me, Dashiell was gaining. I could hear him. Feel him getting closer. Then sirens. Flashing lights. 3 police cars screeching to a halt in front of me. Officers jumping out, guns drawn. And Morrison, bloodied but alive, climbing out of an ambulance. His voice hoarse but strong. FBI. Get down on the ground. Now. Collapse. Dashiell stopped, turned, tried to run. Officers tackled him. More agents poured out of buildings. They hadn't been killed. Margaret had lied. Of course she'd lied. Morrison knelt beside me. You okay? The journals, I gasped. She has them. We have copies. Your father scanned everything. Uploaded it to a secure server. Those journals were bait, Marlowe. We were never going to let them disappear. I started laughing. Couldn't stop. Relief and terror and exhaustion pouring out in hysterical giggles. My father. Always thinking ahead. Always protecting me. Margaret Westwood is in custody, Morrison said. So is Dashiell. We've got everything on tape. Everything she admitted. She's done. The others. The 11 women. Raids happening simultaneously across 6 states. We've been coordinating with local FBI offices for days. They're all going down tonight. The entire network. Morrison helped me sit up. You did it. You finished what your father started. I looked back at the warehouse. At agents leading Margaret out in handcuffs. She looked smaller now. Less powerful. Just an old woman who'd chosen evil and was finally facing consequences. He'd be proud of you, Morrison said quietly. I hoped he was right. I hoped somewhere, somehow, my father knew. Knew that I'd been brave. Knew that I'd chosen to fight instead of hide. Knew that his sacrifice hadn't been for nothing. But as they led me to an ambulance, as paramedics checked my injuries from the jump, I realized something. This still wasn't over. Not completely. There was still one more person who needed to face justice. One more ghost to put to rest. Celestine. The courthouse was packed. Media everywhere. Cameras, reporters, people pushing for statements. The trial of Celestine Marchant had become national news. Black Widow killer. The inheritance hunter. Headlines screaming about her crimes, her victims, the network she'd belonged to. Margaret Westwood's arrest had blown the whole conspiracy wide open. I sat in the front row of the gallery. Evelyn beside me, Morrison 2 rows back. It had been 3 months since that night at the warehouse. 3 months of healing, grieving, giving depositions. 3 months of watching the FBI dismantle Margaret's network piece by piece. All 11 women arrested. Dozens of accomplices charged. Millions of dollars recovered. But today was about Celestine. About my father. About justice. She entered in an orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed, her hair gray now. They wouldn't let her dye it in jail. She looked old, worn. But when her eyes found mine across the courtroom, they still held that cold calculation. Still trying to find an angle. Way out. The trial lasted 2 weeks. Prosecution brought witness after witness. Forensics experts explaining the digoxin poisoning. Financial specialists detailing the stolen money. FBI agents describing the coordinated fraud network. Me. I testified for 6 hours, telling the jury everything. The fake will. The threatening note. My father's hidden evidence. His final letter. Celestine's defense was predictable. She claimed she'd been manipulated by Margaret Westwood. Said she didn't know the digoxin would kill him. Said she loved my father. Said. All lies. The jury saw through everyone. When they played my father's recordings, his voice filling the courtroom, describing how Celestine had laughed while admitting she was poisoning him, I watched her face. Watched her flinch. Just for a second. The only real emotion I'd seen from her in months. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. When they returned, the forewoman stood and read the verdict. Guilty on all counts. First-degree murder. Fraud. Conspiracy. Of 23 separate charges. Guilty. 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 Celestine's face went blank. She didn't cry. Didn't react. Just stared straight ahead as the judge scheduled sentencing for the following week. That week felt longer than the previous 3 months combined. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Just waited. Needed this to be truly over. Sentencing day, the courthouse was even more crowded. Families of Margaret's other victims had come. 67 men dead. And their children filled the gallery. All of us wanting the same thing. Closure. Justice. Is. The judge was a woman in her 70s, sharp-eyed and no-nonsense. She listened to the prosecution's sentencing recommendation. Life without parole. Listened to the defense's plea for leniency. 25 years with possibility of parole. Then she looked at Celestine. Does the defendant wish to make a statement? Celestine stood. Looked directly at me. And for the first time in months she spoke to me. Marlo, I want you to know something. Your father. He wasn't special. He was just another lonely man with too much money and too little sense. He fell for a pretty face and a sad story. Just like all the others. And you. She smiled. You're so much like him. Eve. Trusting. Thinking justice and goodness matter. They don't. Money matters. Power matters. I had both until you took them away. The judge banged her gavel. That's enough, Ms. Marchant. But Celestine kept talking, voice rising. He begged, you know. The end. When he was dying. He begged me to spare you. And I laughed. I laughed because he'd spent his whole life building an empire just to hand it to a weak, pathetic child who... Ms. Marchant. Sit down or you'll be held in contempt. Celestine sat. But her eyes stayed locked on mine. Still trying to hurt me. Still trying to win. The judge took a breath. I've reviewed the evidence in this case. I've read the victim impact statements. I've considered the defendant's history and the scope of her crimes. And I find that the defendant is not only guilty, but showed a shocking lack of remorse. Callous disregard for human life. A predatory pattern spanning years. She looked at Celestine. You took James Chen's life for money. You attempted to destroy his daughter. You were part of a network responsible for dozens of deaths. You showed no mercy, no compassion, no humanity. Ring. The gavel came down. Life in prison without possibility of parole. To be served at a maximum security facility. Defendant is remanded to custody immediately. The courtroom erupted. Some people cheering. Some crying. I just sat there, numb, watching as officers led Celestine away. She looked back once, mouthed something at me. I think it was "you lose." But she was wrong, because she was the one in handcuffs. She was the one spending the rest of her life in a cage. And I was the one walking out into sunshine. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Microphones in my face. Questions shouted from every direction. But I just kept walking, Evelyn's hand on my elbow, Morrison clearing a path. "Ms. Chen, how does it feel to get justice for your father? Marlowe, will you pursue civil suits against the other families? What message do you have for other potential victims?" Stop. Turn. Let them get their footage. My father was a good man who made one mistake. He trusted the wrong person. But even while dying, he fought to protect me. He left evidence. He built a case. He made sure that even from beyond the grave, he could keep me safe. That's love. That's what matters. And to anyone else out there dealing with something similar, trust your instincts. Questions. Protect yourself. 'Cause people like Celestine Marchant are out there. But people like my father are too. People who fight, who protect, who refuse to let evil win. I walked away. Didn't look back. The house felt different now. I'd moved back in 2 weeks after the sentencing. My house now, legally, finally. The inheritance had cleared. $12 million. The business. Everything Dad had built. All mine. Celestine had tried to redecorate, but I'd hired people to restore it. Put Mom's wallpaper back up. Brought back Dad's furniture. Made it feel like home again. I was sitting in his study, going through old photo albums, when Evelyn called. "Turn on the news," she said without preamble. "Channel 7. I grabbed the remote. The news anchor's face was somber. Breaking news in the inheritance murder conspiracy. Margaret Westwood, the alleged mastermind behind a network of so-called Black Widow killers, was found dead in her cell this morning. Officials say it appears to be suicide, but an investigation is ongoing. I stared at the screen. Margaret. Just like that. Suicide, Evelyn said over the phone. Convenient. You think someone killed her? I think she knew too much. Had too many connections. And dead women don't testify. Evelyn paused. How do you feel about it? How did I feel? I thought about Margaret's cold smile. Her casual dismissal of 67 dead men. Her offer to let me walk away. Part of me felt relieved. One less monster in the world. Part of me felt cheated. She'd escaped justice. Avoided prison. Taken the easy way out. I don't know, I admitted. I keep thinking about all those families. They deserve to see her tried. Convicted. Made to answer for what she did. She's dead, Marlowe. She can't hurt anyone else. That's what matters. Maybe. Or maybe it was just another way evil avoided consequences. A week later, Reverie came to see me. Celestine's daughter. I almost didn't let her in. But curiosity won. She stood on my porch looking nothing like the bored girl from the will reading. She looked tired. Haunted. Older than her 32 years. I don't expect forgiveness, she said immediately. I just wanted you to know I didn't know. About the murders. About the network. My mom told me she married wealthy men and got divorces. I thought she was just a gold digger. Not a. She couldn't say it. Not a killer. But you knew something was wrong. Yes. Reverie's voice cracked. I knew she was manipulative. Cruel. I knew she didn't really love your father. But I didn't ask questions. Didn't want to know. And that makes me complicit, doesn't it? I thought about the will reading. About Reverie staring at her phone, disconnected. About how she'd never actively participated in the threats. How she'd looked uncomfortable the whole time. You're not your mother, I said finally. You didn't poison anyone. Didn't forge anything. You just looked the other way. Is that better? It's different. And you're here now. That counts for something. She pulled out an envelope. This is for you. I found it in my mom's things before the FBI seized everything. It's from your father. To you. I don't know why she kept it. Maybe as leverage. Maybe just cruelty. But you should have it. She handed it over and left before I could respond. Inside was a letter, dated 2 days before Dad died. His handwriting shaky but legible. Marlo, I'm writing this on the chance that something goes wrong. That Celestine acts faster than expected. That I don't get to say goodbye. If you're reading this, I'm gone. And I'm so sorry. Sorry I brought her into our lives. Sorry I didn't see the danger until too late. Sorry I'm leaving you alone. But you're not alone. You have Aunt Linda, your friends, and hopefully Evelyn Core, who I trust with my life. More importantly, you have yourself. You're strong, baby girl. Stronger than you know. You're smart and brave and kind, just like your mother. Don't let this destroy that kindness. Don't let Celestine's evil make you hard. The world needs soft hearts that refuse to break. Love you. I'm proud of you. And I'm sorry I won't be there to watch you build an incredible life. But I'll be cheering you on from wherever I end up. Promise me something, use the money for good. Help people. Change lives. Make the inheritance mean something beyond dollars. That's how you'll beat her. Not with revenge. Not with anger. With love. With generosity. With refusing to let evil win. Be happy, Marlo. That's what I want most. Just be happy. All my love, Dad. I read it 3 times. Cried through all 3. Then I folded it carefully, put it in the frame with a photo of us from my college graduation, and set it on his desk where I could see it every day. Promise me something, use the money for good. I spent the next month researching, planning, building, and 6 weeks after Celestine's sentencing, I held a press conference. I'm establishing the James Chen Foundation. I announced to cameras and reporters and families of Margaret's victims who'd become friends over the months. A non-profit dedicated to helping families identify and escape financial predators. We'll provide free legal services, private investigators, and counseling. We'll work with law enforcement to identify potential victims before it's too late. And we'll make sure that people like my father, and all the men who died in this conspiracy, are remembered not as victims, but as fathers, brothers, sons who were loved. The first year we helped 32 families. Identified 3 women running similar schemes. Prevented 2 murders. Saved 1 elderly man whose new wife had already started poisoning him. The doctors caught it in time because his daughter had seen our foundation's warning signs and demanded blood tests. I met with each family personally. Heard their stories. Their grief. Their anger. And I told them what my father had taught me. Don't let evil make you hard. Some listened. Some didn't. All of them appreciated having someone who understood. Evelyn joined the foundation as chief legal counsel. Morrison became an advisor, helping us work with law enforcement. Even Reverie volunteered, using her insider knowledge of how her mother had operated to help us identify red flags. I can't undo what she did, Reverie told me one day, 6 months into working together. But maybe I can stop someone else's mother from doing the same thing. On the 1st anniversary of my father's death, I took his ashes, which I'd finally had the strength to collect from the funeral home, out to his boat. The Eleanor was back at Pier 39 now, restored and maintained. I'd learned to sail it. Took it out every Sunday morning, the time Dad and I used to talk on the phone. I scattered his ashes past the Golden Gate Bridge, where we'd scattered Mom's, where they could be together again. I didn't cry, just smiled. Felt the wind and the sun and the peace of knowing I'd done what he asked. I'd been brave. I'd been kind. I'd made the inheritance mean something. I love you, Dad, I whispered to the wind. I hope I made you proud. A seagull called overhead. The waves lapped against the boat's hull. And for the first time since that phone call saying he was gone, I felt like I could breathe. Like the weight had lifted. Like I was going to be okay. That night I got an email. Unknown sender. Subject line. Thank you. Miss Chen, you don't know me. My name is Robert's daughter. Robert Ashford. You might know him as Gerald Ashford, one of your stepmother's victims from 2022. The FBI told us what you did. How you brought them all down. How you found the evidence. My dad was a good man. He loved my mom for 40 years before she died. He thought he'd found happiness again with Claire. That's what he knew your stepmother as. He died thinking she loved him, never knowing she murdered him. For 2 years I blamed him. Thought he'd been a fool. Hated him for falling for her. But now I know the truth. He wasn't a fool. He was a victim. And you gave me that gift. The gift of remembering him as he deserved. Thank you. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for finishing what your father started. Thank you for making sure our dads didn't die for nothing. Hope you find peace. I hope we all do. I read the email twice. Then I saved it in a folder with dozens of others like it. Messages from families. From survivors. From people who'd found hope in the Foundation's work. This was Dad's legacy. Not the money. Not the house. People being saved. Families being protected. Evil being stopped. And I'd helped make it happen. I was sitting at his desk looking at his photo, his letter, when my phone rang. Aunt Linda. Hey sweetie, she said. Just checking in. How are you doing? I'm good, I said. And I meant it. I'm actually really good. Your dad would be so proud of you. I think so too. We talked for an hour. Normal stuff. Family gossip. Her grandkids. My work with the Foundation. Plans for Thanksgiving. Life going on. Moving forward. Healing. When we hung up, I sat in the quiet house. My house, and felt something I hadn't felt in a year. Oh. Real solid, unshakable hope. Celestine was in prison. Margaret was dead. The network was dismantled. Justice had been served. And I was still here. Still standing. Still fighting. Still my father's daughter. But there was one more thing I needed to do. One final piece to make the closure complete. Something I'd been avoiding for months because I didn't know if I was strong enough. Tomorrow, I decided. Tomorrow I'd be strong enough. Tomorrow I'd visit Celestine in prison. Face her one last time. And finally let go. The California Institution for Women was 2 hours from San Francisco. Maximum security. Concrete and razor wire and guards with expressionless faces. I'd requested the visit 3 weeks ago. Celestine had accepted immediately. Course she had. One more chance to twist the knife. Evelyn offered to come with me. Morrison offered to wait in the car. Aunt Linda said I was crazy for going at all. But I needed to do this alone. Needed to look Celestine in the eye and prove, to her and to myself, that she had no power over me anymore. The visiting room was exactly like you see in movies. Small tables bolted to the floor. Plastic chairs. A guard in the corner. Everything painted institutional beige. I sat down, hands clasped to hide their shaking, and waited. Celestine shuffled in wearing prison blues, hands cuffed, looking older than her 58 years. Prison had stripped away all the polish, all the elegance. She was just a woman now. Just a murderer serving life. She sat down across from me. Marlo, you look well. Prison agrees with me less, I'm afraid. I didn't come here to chat. No. Then why did you come? She leaned forward. To gloat. To see me humbled. To finally feel superior to the woman who killed your father. I came to forgive you. Silence. Celestine's smile faltered. What? I forgive you. For killing my dad. For trying to destroy me. For all of it. My voice was steady. Strong. Not because you deserve forgiveness. Don't. But because holding on to hate was killing me. And my father didn't sacrifice everything just so I could spend the rest of my life being bitter and angry. Celestine laughed. Actually laughed. You forgive me. How gracious. How noble. Tell me, Marlo. Does forgiveness bring your father back? Does it undo what I did? No. But it sets me free. That's something you'll never understand. Freedom is real happiness. You spent your whole life chasing money and power. And where did it get you? Here. In a cage. Dying alone. While I walk out of here into sunshine and a life full of people who love me. Her smile vanished. Something flickered behind her eyes. Rage maybe. or recognition, the truth landing like a blow. You think you've won, she said quietly. You think because I'm in prison and you have your father's money that you've beaten me. But you haven't. Every time you look at that money, you'll think of me. Every time you write a check from your precious foundation, you'll remember that it only exists because I killed him. I'm in your head, Marlo. Forever. I win. I stood up. You're wrong. When I think about the foundation, I think about my father. About his kindness, his determination, his love. You're just the villain who made his heroism necessary. You're not the story, Celestine. You're just the obstacle we overcame. And 20 years from now, when the foundation has saved hundreds of people and you're still rotting in here, nobody will remember your name. But everyone will remember his. I walked toward the door. He called after me. Marlo, wait. Please. Her voice cracked. For the first time she sounded human. Vulnerable. I didn't love him. I won't pretend I did. But he was kind to me. And at the end, when he was dying, he asked me to let you go. Begged me. And for about 5 seconds I almost listened. Almost felt something like guilt. But then I remembered how much money was at stake and the feeling passed. He paused. I'm telling you this because you should know. Your father's last words weren't, I love you, or, tell Marlo goodbye. They were, please don't hurt my girl. That's all he cared about. You. Tears burned my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. Thank you for telling me. Goodbye, Celestine. Will you visit again? I looked back at her. Saw the loneliness, the fear, the beginning of real regret that would haunt her for decades. No, I said gently. I won't. This is closure. For both of us. I hope someday you find whatever peace is possible for someone like you. Really do. But I can't be part of that. I have a life to live. A legacy to honor. And you're not part of it anymore. I walked out. Through security. Through gates and doors and checkpoints. Out into California sunshine that felt like a blessing. Morrison was waiting by the car. Just like he'd promised. How do you feel? He asked. Free, I said. And I meant it. Finally free. We drove back to San Francisco in comfortable silence. Morrison dropped me at the foundation office where Evelyn was waiting with news. 3 more families had reached out for help. A woman in Oregon whose father had just married suspiciously. A man in Texas whose business partner's wife seemed too interested in his finances. A daughter in Florida who'd found her father's new girlfriend researching his life insurance. We'd help them all. We'd investigate. We'd protect them. We'd make sure they didn't end up like my father. This was the work. This was the life I'd chosen. Not revenge. Not bitterness. Just love expressed through action. Just refusing to let evil win by doing good. That evening I went home to my house. Dad's house, Mom's house, my house. Made dinner in the kitchen where Mom used to cook. Ate in the dining room where we'd had family dinners. Watched the sunset from Dad's study where he'd planned his defense against the woman who was killing him. My phone buzzed. Message from Morrison. Wanted you to know. We identified 2 more women in Margaret's network using your father's files. Arrests happening tomorrow. Total count now 14 women, 47 accomplices. All facing justice. Your father's work continues to save lives. I typed back. Thank you for everything. Seriously. None of this happens without you. His response came quickly. Wrong. None of this happens without you having the courage to finish what he started. Your father would be impossibly proud. So would your mother. Hell, I'm proud and I barely know you. Smiled. Set the phone down. Looked at Dad's photo on the desk. His letter framed beside it. The words I read every day. Be happy, Marlo. That's what I want most. Was I happy? Not completely. Not yet. Grief still came in waves. Some days I could barely function. Some nights I dreamed about the will reading, about running from Dashiell, about Margaret's cold smile. Trauma didn't disappear just because the villains were caught. But I was healing. Building a life that meant something. Helping people. Honoring Dad's memory not by dwelling on how he died, but by celebrating how he lived, with generosity, kindness, and love. 6 months later, the foundation won a national award for victim advocacy. I stood on stage accepting it, looking out at an audience full of people we'd helped, families we'd saved, lives we'd changed. My father, James Chen, was murdered for money, I told them. But his real wealth was never in his bank account. It was in his values, his integrity, his refusal to let evil win even when it was killing him. He fought until his last breath to protect me and to gather evidence that would stop his killers. This award isn't for me. It's for him. For every father who loved his daughter enough to die protecting her. For every family torn apart by greed and violence who deserves justice and healing. We accept this on behalf of all of them. And we promise, we're just getting started. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. I saw people crying. Saw families hugging. Saw hope on faces that had known too much pain. Afterward, a young woman approached me. Early 20s, nervous, clutching a folder. Ms. Chen. Sarah. My dad died 3 years ago. Sudden heart attack, they said. But after I saw your foundation's warning signs, I requested a private autopsy. They found poison. My stepmother is being investigated right now because of your work. 'Cause you fought back. Because you refused to let your father's death be meaningless. Tears streamed down her face. You saved my brother. She was planning to go after him next. We didn't even know. And now we do. Now we're safe. Thank you. Thank you so much. We hugged. Both crying. Both grateful. Both survivors of something terrible who'd found a way through to the other side. This, I thought. This is why I kept going. Why I chose to fight instead of hide. Why I let my father's love make me stronger instead of letting Celestine's evil make me bitter. That night I went to the boat. Sailed out past the Golden Gate Bridge to the place where Mom and Dad's ashes mixed with the ocean. The place that felt most like home. Hey Dad, I said to the wind and the waves and the stars. I hope you're proud. I hope you know I did what you asked. I used the money for good. Helped people. Changed lives. And I'm happy. Not every day. Not all the time. But more and more. I'm building the life you wanted for me. The wind picked up, warm and gentle, and I swear I felt something. Presence. Sense of peace. Maybe it was just my imagination. Maybe it was grief playing tricks. Or maybe, just maybe, it was my father's spirit saying what he'd always said when I was little and afraid. You're okay, baby girl. You're going to be okay. And I was. Against all odds, after everything I'd been through, I was okay. I sailed back to shore as the moon rose, turning the bay silver. Tomorrow I'd go to the office. Help more families. Fight more battles. Continue the work. But tonight I just existed. Present. Peaceful. Grateful. Grateful for my father's love that had protected me even from beyond the grave. Grateful for the courage I didn't know I had until I needed it. Grateful for the people. Evelyn, Morrison, Aunt Linda, even Reverie, who'd helped me survive. And grateful for the lesson that had cost so much to learn but changed everything. Evil exists. It's real. It kills people we love and destroys families and sometimes goes unpunished. But love is stronger. Love documented evidence. Love left clues. Love fought back. Love saved me when nothing else could. That's what my father taught me in his final act. That's what I'd carry forward for the rest of my life. Not revenge. Not bitterness. Not fear. Just love. Fierce, protective, unconditional love that refuses to let evil have the final word. I docked the boat, locked it up, walked to my car. Drove home through streets I knew by heart to a house full of memories and purpose and hope. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. New families to help. New battles to fight. But tonight I was just Marlo Chen. 34 years old. Daughter of James and Eleanor Chen. Survivor. Fighter. Believer in second chances and the power of good to triumph over evil. I was my father's daughter. And that, I finally understood, was the greatest inheritance of all. If this story moved you, if you've been with me through every twist and turn, do me one final favor. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Tell me about a time you had to be brave when you were terrified. Tell me about someone you've lost and how you honored their memory. Your stories matter. Your voices